Oop. This does open me up, though, to talk about something else that I saw today. Not today, yesterday. Well, definitely. Yeah, I don't usually form my assumptions on people based off of what character they play. More so how they play the game, right? Nice. I died. But yeah. Yesterday I saw something, you know, it gave me great pleasure to see something good happening in Chicago, because my dad loves that city. And I've sort of warmed up to it just by proximity. Apparently Chicago had been having problems with food deserts. You know, areas of the city where people don't have ready or easy access to food. And what had been happening was, like, a lot of neighborhoods did, like, technically have grocery stores at one point. But a lot of them were in, like, low-income neighborhoods, and as a result had been, like, boarded up and stuff. You know, it represented a pretty big problem, because in the United States, food insecurity is a very real beast, as much as we are a wealthy country. And recently, I don't know if it was on Twitter or just in general, I think it was just, like, in some press conference or something, the mayor of Chicago announced that they were going to look into the policy, like, feasibility of buying those storefronts, those empty grocery storefronts, and creating new city-owned grocery stores to address the problem of food deserts and stuff. And I thought that was a great idea. The Eagle... not Eagle-Eyed, I don't know. Some people who have watched my channel might remember that there's a video I made about food and how the United States subsidizes to an absurd degree the agribusiness industry. And of course, how could we not? It's the food industry. Without food, you die. It is in everybody's interest that the agribusiness sector be financially stable, because that is the mechanism with which we feed the population in the United States, you know? But what that means is that the government is already paying for our food. The like those subsidies, all of the food that is in the grocery store right now in America, at every stage of the process, the like growing, packaging, shipping, distribution, and even marketing to a degree, was paid for by American taxpayer money in the form of subsidies. And so once it reaches the store shelves, we've already paid for it. And the reason that it costs money is because, well, things are owned privately in the United States, agribusiness industry being one of those things. And being that they're a business, they love to charge a premium. Such is the prerogative of a private business. I learned the quote, "People are 3 meals away from revolution," from you, and I use it quite often now. Really? That's awesome, because I learned that from somewhere else. I think that it was, I don't remember who exactly it was, but I think, you know, it is, certainly holds pretty well, I think, if you put it to, like, a political litmus test. But yeah, you know, that sort of comes into play here, because here in the United States, the wealthiest country in the history of the planet, is experiencing food insecurity. 10% of people in the United States are food insecure, which means they're in danger of missing one of those 3 meals, or even they just straight up, they miss one of those meals, which is not good. And in this case, we have the issue exemplified in Chicago. It has to do a lot with income disparity, and like if you're wealthy, if you're above a certain line of wealth, you do not have issues finding food for your family and stuff. But if you're poor, obviously the problem compounds on itself. Because being poor is very expensive. Such is the situation in Chicago. I already outlined this more or less with the, certain neighborhoods are have food deserts. But the news coverage I saw about this, because certainly this is a newsworthy thing. I don't know if there are any places in the United States that have really done this before. The concept of like a collectively municipally owned grocery store or whatever. But the local news was talking about it. And it was the local news coverage was exactly what you could expect from local news, which is to say it's everything that I despise about local news outlets, Let me go to the CBS link here. It's CBS. I did, as much as I do shit on like the mainstream news outlets, I wasn't expecting the CBS news coverage to be this bad. After this match, I think I will quit out from this guy, and I will read the news coverage. The title of the news article is Mayor Brandon Johnson explores opening city-owned grocery stores in food deserts, which is certainly a fine-sounding article title. Although, in this case, we have a rare instance of the problem being the content of the article and not just the headline itself. A lot of times the news orgs will do this thing where they have like the really dumb clickbaity headlines, which may be representative of what certain people at that news org think, but then like the actual article itself will be fine. It's just the headline that's really dumb as a way to like grab clicks and attention and stuff. All right, sorry guy. Here we go. Already it starts horrible. Chicago, CBS. Despite a projected $500 million city deficit, Mayor Brandon Johnson is exploring opening a city-owned grocery store to promote food equity. So, okay, already the framing here is hot garbage. Despite a deficit, goddamn, I didn't know making sure you were in the black superseded the ability of people in your city to eat. Fuck you, CBS, actually. But as CBS 2's Jermont Terry reported, residents won't be able to buy food anytime soon. This was just the initial. We're gonna do some studies on this to see if this would have any meaningful effect, which I'm sure it would. It's something that's probably at least half a year out if they already started, or maybe a year or more. But the fact that they're talking about this at all, I think, is a big step. And as we'll see in a minute, Chicago saying, despite the city having money problems, actually isn't the worst thing that they say about it, which it's kind of crazy that that's not the craziest thing, but it isn't. Let's go back to CBS and see what they had to see. It's an endeavor done in other small cities, but if it happens in Chicago, they would be the largest city to accomplish that. So there are other cities that have done this before, but nothing as big as the city of Chicago doing it. And this is that's actually, I think, paraphrased from the mayor who wanted to do this project in the first place. What else we got from this article? Many neighborhoods on the south and west sides don't have good quality grocery stores. Some former storefronts have windows boarded up after private chains moved out. This is a problem, actually, with private-owned businesses, and this is a problem with having anything essential be owned privately, is that when you subject it to the whims of the market, they might just move if it's not profitable enough. So if they're in a poor area, they might just close up shop and move somewhere else, even if people need them there. And that's exactly what happened to these grocery stores. People couldn't afford their groceries in these poor neighborhoods. So in response, companies just stopped providing groceries because nobody was going to buy them. They couldn't afford them. Let's see. All of our stores are closing, so now we have to go outside of our neighborhoods to purchase food. One of the residents was quoted as saying there. Here we go. Let's continue reading. Let me continue reading for a moment while I have the time. Williams welcomes any plans to bring grocery stores back, including Johnson's newest initiative to get the city into the grocery chain business. Well, there we go. That's some positive coverage. I think that's a good idea that Mayor Johnson's picking up the slack where these big store chains are leaving. Under Johnson's proposal, the city would use economic development grants. The city would team up with an organization to open a city-owned grocery store in one of Chicago's food deserts. Oh, okay, so they say we're not spending any taxpayer dollars. What we're also going to be able to do is... Wait. We're also going to be able to access the funding that exists at the national level, at the state level. So they are using taxpayer money, because that's what the agribusiness industry is. But it's going to be different levels of taxpayer money. So it's not like directly you pay tax money to the city and then they use that for the grocery store. Even though that would be fine and good even. Because taxes can have a progressive slant to them. Meanwhile, consumer prices are necessarily regressive because it's the same dollar amount for everybody, rich or poor. Let's see here. The major grocery store chains claim they left the South and West Side communities because being there wasn't profitable. This is likely true. So how might Johnson's administration flip the narrative? This is kind of the point where the narrative, the framing begins to sour for me, because they imply that oh, how are you going to address people's food needs if it's not for profit, which is absolute garbage. It's not necessarily about profitability, Grisby said. Grisby's one of the government people from Chicago city government. It's really what it's really about is the impact on Chicagoans, people who live in Chicago. And I couldn't agree more from this guy. This is not something where we can afford to sacrifice people's needs for profit and stuff. Oh, this is the CBS correspondent. How does a grocery store get pushed ahead of crime and safety over other things? This is the silver bullet of holy shit, I hate local news, because the news outlet CBS saw this project. Hey, we're going to have a city-owned grocery store in these poor neighborhoods to combat the issue of food deserts and big companies hanging poor people out to starve, literally. And then the response from local media is, but how are you gonna beat up black people if you do that? Are you fucking kidding me? Because when they say crime and safety, the conventional political narrative about crime and safety is, oh, but you're spending literally any money on anything. This detracts from your ability to spend money on the police. What do the police fucking do? Nothing. The data shows this. It would be much more... Dude, even spending money on this grocery store project, just as a long shot, without any data to support it, would be a better use of money than spending money on what these people consider to be public safety. Jesus fucking Christ, dude. You can tell I got mad at that. He was crouching, that gave me an advantage there. Octissima, thank you very much for the follow. Following for the shirt? Thank you, it's my own design. And the bottom line says Hotel Trivago, by the way. It's hard to see the full thing because it's 16:9. It's like its portrait ratio. So, anyway. After this match, I will return to the news article that I was looking at about Chicago's new grocery program that it might be introducing to combat the issue of food deserts and food insecurity, and how CBS is absolute scumbags for looking at that. You know, it's like, oh, people are starving. We should build another grocery store, and they're like, but how is this going to affect our public safety spending? How are you going to spend money on the police if you're also trying to give people food? I got really mad at that. And the truth is, the reason I got mad at that, right, is because I give people the credit of not being that stupid. Because nobody could possibly be stupid enough to think that those two things are related at all. Let alone that, like, the government getting involved in providing food options for people would ever come necessarily at the expense of public safety, or in particular what people consider public safety when they're working in government, which is put more cops on the streets to beat up more homeless people. Which, of course, if it, you know, I only wish that grocery projects like this deprived the police of money, because they actually need to have less money. They, like, the police have so much fucking money, they actually don't know what to do with this. I've seen the data. Police spend 90% of their time, like, harassing random drivers. Like, people driving their car. And, of course, the city official kind of, tries to do the optics thing. So I don't want to say that this is taking a priority. I would like to say that overall it's not also about a grocery store. What it is about, the fuck? Okay, this didn't translate well to text. This is about increasing access to healthy options and to food for all Chicagoans. Basically, like, dumbass, we're trying to give people food. You know, shelve the talking points about beating up black people. Mayor's office said the grocery store would be funded by grant money. That grant money could come from the state and federal tax dollars, not just local taxes. Obligatory fear-mongering over taxes. This is literally how grants work. When you pay taxes to the government, part of that money goes for grants. The government sometimes will see a project that it thinks is worthwhile, and it will give money to them. The city did not provide a timeline for when the initiative would or could move forward. That's probably because this is in the very initial stages of things happening. You know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna run at him. But that's kind of all I had to say on the subject of that grocery store project. Is that I think that publicly owned, you know, municipally owned, city owned, whatever, grocery stores is a very good thing, especially because food distribution overwhelmingly happens like at the local level, right? It's food distribution is a very decentralized thing, by necessity, right? Very different. You can't really coordinate that from a state and federal perspective, but there are many pitfalls that the private model, the for-profit model, succumbs to. So I think that collectivizing the grocery store business, or collectivizing food distribution, manufacturing, and all that is good. And I think CBS, for the way they fucking painted this as some attack on the police, is well, a group of massive shitheads. You know, leave it to local news to say that a free lunch is bad.